Good morning, good day. How are you this glorious day? Hello, welcome. If anyone can tell me what that is from, let me know in chat. A little reference for y'all, a little musical theater reference. Hello, all the friends in chat. Eric, V.O. Odine. Hello from Riverside. Hello, what part of Riverside are you in? I am there as well. Keith's got his coffee, and Megan is ready to hit the design gym. Colby, there we go. This morning as I was having my coffee, I forgot how to drink and just put it straight into my lungs. So I'm a little raspy because I've been coughing for the last 5 minutes. One of these days I'll get it. So you get you get the late night version of our daily creative challenge. Call up that person that is very special to you and have them do this lesson together. All right, that's what you get. Let's hop in and talk a little bit about what this challenge is and what we're doing today. My name is Andrew Hockrattle, and I will be your host and guide through the next week. We only have a week left of our daily creative challenges. This is a place for you to learn and step up your skills in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to be working with texture today, which is really, really fun, and our object lesson will be sweat. We are working through the lens of a kind of fitness zone. So we'll be using sweat today to talk about additive and subtractive textures. We're also going to be using the Lasso tool, which not a lot of people know exists in Illustrator. It's a very powerful tool, so we'll be using that today. And Megan, is that Australia here's late at night? Yes, it is. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what this is and how you can get involved. The first way is to go over here to behance.net/challenge/illustrator. And that is the place where you can get your source files. You can click on this button. It will notify you every day when I am live doing the next challenge. Today you will need the source file. So make sure you go to behance.net/challenge/illustrator and get this source file. We are working with texture typographies. I have given you some textures to work with, so you will need those unless you want to create your own, but I've done that step for you so we can really jump in and talk about the theory behind using texture. Another place that you can get involved that once you do the challenges, you will be posting them is right here, bit.ly/AI Discord. That is the place to be. And hello, Cornell. Girotima is here just in time. So bit.ly/AI Discord is the place that you can get involved, and that's where you'll be posting your daily creative challenges. A lot of people are posting. Let's hop over there and see what's happening. There we go. Oz here is working from some feedback that we gave last night. Nice. Much better. Great job with the composition. Yesterday we worked on balance and weight when creating badges. So people are posting their projects here. Love what you're doing, RCEP. This is so much fun. People are posting their badges and their projects here. And each night I have been going live right here at hawk.co on Behance. You also can follow along on Instagram or Twitter if you like. But going right here on Behance, or click the button that Wade is going to drop in the link, I will be going live every night giving you feedback on your daily creative challenges. So I like to do video, we can interact, you can hop in there. That'll be later tonight, probably around 6 p.m. So tune in for that. You also get a little notification that I'm live when it pops up, and I'll give you all the feedback you could ever want or imagine. All right, I think that's it. I have one more thing, actually, that I want to pop in and talk about is right after this, a little bit after this at 1 o'clock. So an hour and a half today, an hour and a half after right now, we're going live with a very special show called Adobe Office Hours with Nick Longo and I. We'll be there to give you feedback, to help with your portfolios, and to give you some advice. Today we're talking about working in collaboration with teams. So you can submit your portfolios to be reviewed by using hashtag Adobe Office Hours on Twitter, Instagram, or Behance. So hashtag Adobe Office Hours anywhere, and I'll be looking through those right after this stream to hopefully get some of you reviewed during our show today at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, so that is it for announcements. We are going to hop into our lesson today. I'm very excited. Texture and type is one of my favorite things. It is the most complicated costume change that I have so far. So let's hop over into Hawk's gym and see if I can do this in 40 seconds. See you in a minute. All right, we made it back. Here we are. So today we are talking a little bit about texture, and we're going to have to zoom in here in just a second. Oh no, I need to be in the gym. There we go. So today we're talking about texture. And here's what we need to talk about when we talk about texture. There are two kinds. There's additive and subtractive texture. So additive texture adds onto something, right? Like multiplies it, pushes on top. Subtractive takes away, right? So I've been working out. Let's zoom in here and see if we can get the good sheen. There we go. Oh, this is the ticket. So this here is going to be our lesson for the day. So you can see I've been working out, right? We have a little bit of sweat here. I should have done my eyebrows, but it's quarantine, so everyone's eyebrows look bad. So this is the sweat that we have here. I keep looking over there just to make sure. All right, cool. So this sweat here would be additive texture, right? This is something that on my skin, there's something that is put on top. So additive texture affects whatever is below it. So this sweat would be additive texture to my face, right? It's something that's sitting on top that is affecting what is below it. Now, subtractive texture, if I take maybe my shirt here, right, and I pull it over, right, and start to take away, let's try this. So now you can see there are little bits and pieces that are still there, but my shirt has been a subtractive texture that has taken away that sweat, right? Kind of interesting. So those are the two different ways that you can work with texture, additive and subtractive. And if we look down here, you can see that we have actually done some additive texture to the shirt, right? So the shirt was just flat gray. And now, because we have added something to it, right, it has a little bit of texture, and it's almost like we took something and multiplied it onto the gray to create that texture. So this would be an example of additive texture, right? So the flat of the background of the gray has something added on top of it that has now affected the bottom layer. So that's what we're going to be working with today. My face is still very wet, but we're going to leave that additive texture there. And I want you to think of those two things when we start jumping in. The difference between additive and subtractive texture, right? Additive is adding the water onto the bottom gray shirt. It is putting the water or the sweat on my face. Where subtractive is where the sweat is taken off parts of the face and you can see what's underneath a little more clearly. So that is the object lesson for today. It's a weird one, but it's the best way that I could think to explain the idea of additive and subtractive texture. So let's hop into Illustrator and start working on our challenge. Again, if you have not, you can get our challenge source files at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. And that's where you can get this challenge. Let's go ahead and jump in here. It will include these textures that I've created for you. It'll just make it easier for us to use these. So make sure you have the textures downloaded and you have this. So, all right, challenge 4. Let's get branded. Create a stamp or stencil using vector textures and the Lasso tool. Lasso tool is one of my favorite tools. Not a lot of people know how to use it, so we'll learn today. Fitness, more like fitting this texture in this type. I'm sorry, this one's for me. And yes, the close-up is horrifying and amazing. I agree, it's educational but totally horrible. I 100%. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and grab, let's do type, just in case you don't have a logo. If you do have a logo, that's great, but let's do type first. So let's just do the word fitness. And I'm going to set this in trade just so it's nice and big. There we go. So we have the word fitness here. And let's say that this word fitness, let's have it in red, right? We want a big, bold, bright fitness. So what we can do now is we're going to do some additive texture. And we're going to grab this texture that's down here. And what we can do is just pull this over, and we're going to have it just so it's over the letters, right? And the thing that is a little weird is, one, it's behind, so we can right click and go to Arrange, Bring to Front. And you can see that this is additive texture. The additive texture is just literally slapping on top, but we want it to interact. And so the real way to do additive texture is to maybe change this to, let's say, a gray, and then we multiply. So up here in our blending modes, we go to multiply. How did you increase the font size? By dragging. I use a scale tool. Just hit S and then scale by clicking and dragging out. So now you can see it's interacting here And there are little pieces like this one that interact, that are additive to the red, but don't affect the white, right? So that's kind of what we want. We want it interacting. And the problem that I'm seeing here is that there's all this extra texture, right? Check this out. This is what we're going to work with today, is we're going to select this. We're going to double click, and that takes us into isolation mode. You can see that up in Illustrator, it has isolation mode right up here. And we're going to grab the lasso tool right up here. Q is the hotkey. We're going to grab the lasso tool, and what it does is every anchor point that you touch, when you click and drag a selection, it will select those anchor points. So we're going to click and drag all those, and you can see that on some of these, it hasn't selected the whole shape. It's just selected those anchor points. So whatever we've drug over to select, it's a free-form selection kind of tool. So we're going to hit delete, and you'll see that it has some extra little anchor points that are kind of hanging out here. You're just going to hit delete again, and it's going to take away all of those anchor points. So let's keep doing that down here. We just want to keep what's around the fitness. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then delete all those. So now we have texture that is just over our letters. Again, we can grab Q and come in here and just grab, just grab the little pieces of the texture that we want. But this is an example of additive texture, right? We're just slapping texture on top. The next one that we're going to do is subtractive texture. And subtractive texture, I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to do subtractive texture. We're going to use this same texture that we have here. Why not? And the type that we have in the background, I'm going to go ahead and make it black just so that we can see a little better. So what we're going to do is we are going to do an opacity mask. There's a million different ways to do subtractive texture. And subtractive texture means that if I put a color behind it, you'll be able to see through the type and see the color, right? If I put a color behind this, it all interacts together. We don't want that. We want to be able to see the background color through the type. So doing subtractive texture, we're going to come in here and we will just select both of these. Now there's a million different ways to do this. We have the texture on top and we have the shape on the bottom, the type on the bottom. And the way that I'm going to show you first is to do an opacity mask. A lot of people are familiar with the Pathfinder tool, but not a lot are familiar with the opacity mask. So we're going to go up here to our transparency panel. And here with this selected, we have the top shape is the texture and the bottom is the type. We are going to hit make mask. And what that did, I need it to be black, sorry. You need your texture to be black. So what this is doing is it's basically saying anything that is black, we want to basically mask out. Anything that is white, we mask and keep in. So there we go. Oh, I think I had my order backwards, guys. Let's see. I live in the opacity mask. Yes, opacity masks are the absolute best. All right, so making sure that you have your texture on the top, and then we have our type on the bottom. Let's see if this works. Why? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, it's not a color. See, this is what happens. I practice, and then a million times it goes wrong. All right, so we have black. Got it. So the texture needs to be black on top, then we select the type on the bottom, go over here and hit make mask. There we go. So now we have just the type, right? And what's happening is you can select either just the texture that you have up here. And where do you find the opacity mask? It is in the transparency panel. So we can select just the texture, or we can select either just the texture or just the shape. So let's do another way of doing the Pathfinder. Let's grab these two, bring it down here, and let's go ahead and outline this. So now you can see, that it has the type is the texture is pulled out of the type. So let's do the Pathfinder just because that might be a little better for us during this lesson. I'm going to go ahead and outline that type. Make sure that it goes to black as well. And what you can do is with these two textures, I'll make this one red so we can see it. We have two complex shapes. And we need to select our texture and make sure that it is a compound path. That means that it's basically just going to be one complete shape. So we'll go to Object, we'll go to Compound Path, and we'll click on Make. Now the same thing with our type. We want to go here and go to Object, Compound Path, and Make. So we have these two, and let's select both of them. And basically with the Pathfinder, what we're going to do is that top shape is going to get punched out of the bottom shape. So let's come here to the Pathfinder. We are going to hit subtract, but check this out. So if we hit subtract, right, now we have some cool texture on our type, but we can't really edit it. Let's undo that. And with these two selected, if you hold Alt or Option when you click on subtract, it will do the same thing, but it will keep the shapes. So now if I want to, I can come in here and change where the text is subtracting from, where the texture is subtracting from. So you can move that around so it stays live, but if we have something behind it in a color, you can see that it's still subtracting from that type, right? Kind of cool, kind of fun. And yes, it's the opacity mask is over here on the side. Yes, absolutely. Cool. So let's keep going here and kind of show how we can start to stack and maybe reinvent these. Yes, what a pro tip. Yes, new advice. That is an absolute pro tip. So again, additive texture is just going over, interacting with that type. And then the opacity mask, actually, let's do the opacity mask one more time, and I'll just show you just so we have it. So the opacity mask, something that I didn't do correct. I was wondering why it wasn't working the way I wanted it to, and I did something completely wrong. With an opacity mask, you need to designate what is being kept and what is going away. What I didn't do was say what is going away. So with the opacity mask, we want to do this. You want to have the white be whatever you are keeping and the black be whatever you are taking away. And you actually need these to be a group. So whatever the texture is, you need it to be black and white, not just white or black. So check this out. I'm going to go into Command Y, which is showing me outline mode. So we're going to grab the type below and this group that we've made that is the black box with the white type. And this is going to work. So now when we do make opacity mask, boom, it is going to keep the white that we have and take away all that black in that box. Now, if we invert it, there we go. Now you can see that it is kept as live type. And so this is the way that's easier to manipulate live type. So here doing the subtractive by using the Pathfinder, the typography does not stay live. It has to be an outline. But if you use it as an opacity mask, I can come in here and type whatever I want, and it will keep that mask for me, right? So one more time, just because this is the most complicated one, I'm going to show you one more time how to do that. Is we are going to grab our texture. Okay, and we're going to grab, we're going to grab our type that we have here. And you need to remember that whatever you are making your mask of, think of it as a transparency. Is we are going to make the background, we want to be white, right? We want to keep most of it. So we want to keep the background white, and then all this texture, we want to go away, so we make black. So we're going to go ahead and group these together. So we have this almost transparency, right? That we're going to put over here to say, hey, all the black pieces we want to keep, all the white pieces, all the black pieces we want to go away, all the white pieces we want to keep. And yes, it makes it non-destructive, 100%. So we have our group of white and black here saying black is what goes away, white is what we want to keep. We select all of those, the type is below there, and then we come over and hit make mask. And now you can see that we have this nice little piece, and you can come over here and say hello, and it will keep that type locked in. And we also can, over here in our opacity panel, transparency panel, click on the texture and move this texture around so everything is 100% editable, still using with that opacity mask. So kind of crazy, yes. And yes, you can copy this, right? So let's say that we have our texture. If this is black, I can copy and come back into our opacity mask here, click on this shape, and I can paste it in, and it will add another layer of texture. So you can add more texture, you can add less texture using that opacity mask. So what I want you to do is use, let's see, we have about 3 minutes. So I'm going to just show you how this kind of can work in your challenge. You can use type, you can use something that you've made in one of the past challenges, and the best way to do it is, I want to see the different ways that we talked about type. Do one that's additive, do one that's subtractive, and do one that is an opacity mask. So You're just going to come over here. You're going to grab one of these textures that I've provided for you. And we are going to do an opacity mask on this one. So the background I want to be white. I want to keep the majority. And then over here, I want this texture to be black. I want that to go away. So then I'm going to select both the white and the black texture and group it together. So now I have this kind of overarching opacity, transparency kind of grid. And we're going to select the whole thing. So I have the shape underneath, and then I have our guide on top, and I'm going to hit Make Mask. And now our badge is completely editable, non-destructive, but it has the texture that is in it with this opacity mask. I can change and move that texture however I want. And if we put something behind it that is a color, you'll be able to see through how that texture looks. So maybe apply this to a weight that we've made, maybe put some color behind it, and play around with these different ways to do texture. And again, in your daily creative challenges, I want to see different versions, right? So maybe we have another one that is just this, right? It's our little shape that we've made. And let's say that we make it red. And then maybe I want to put texture over it and make this texture blue so that it has some like interesting, fun, crazy texture going on. All we need to do is do this, and we'll note that this is additive texture using multiply. So we multiply this blue on top, and you can see that it is now interacting. And again, remember that you can grab the lasso tool using Q, or just the lasso here, and literally just come around and select and delete any anchor points that you don't want to be a part of your design. Maybe we don't want it to go over this. We can very easily come in here and just select that and delete those pieces. So try to use that to do additive and subtractive texture. And then when you post at bit.ly/AI Discord, I'd love to see and note which one is additive and which one is subtractive. Work with those textures and explore what you can do with the power of texture. And as we wrap up here, there's a lot of you watching. I'd love to know where you are in the world. Always makes my heart happy to know that the world's coming together to get inspired. So put in chat where you're watching from as we start to recap and wind down for our stream today. So you're going to go right here, bit.ly/AI Discord. You are going to post your daily creative challenge, and we will be back on Monday with another daily creative challenge. And Keith, what about clipping masks? Sure, we got 2 minutes. I'll show you how to do that. So what we could do, if we wanted to, let's actually just grab this one, is clipping masks are a great way of doing additive texture. So if we just want to add some texture to this, a clipping mask is basically saying you can only look through this point. So I'm going to make a shape that is just on top. Actually, I'm just going to grab a copy of this because I'm going to cheat a little bit. All right, so I'm going to grab a copy of this and just make it a little bigger. There we go. So we have this shape on the outside, and basically a clipping mask. Kenya, Africa, Montreal, nice. A clipping mask is going to say this top shape is going to be a container for whatever the bottom object is. So I just select the two, I right click, and I go to make clipping mask, and it is going to clip this entire texture just into this shape. If I change to outline mode, you can see that the rest of the texture is there, but it's clipped just into that shape. So that's another way you can do it. You can use the lasso tool. I like to use a lasso tool so I don't have all of these extra anchor points that are flying around, is I'll just go through there. And how are you clicking through under the object? I'm probably using a line, or I am Control Shift bracket moves it to the front and the back. So yeah, that's how you can use clipping masks as well. Play around and experiment with texture, get crazy, try to make something totally awesome, and remember to put it right here at bit.ly/AI Discord. Also, I want you guys to tune back in and join us for office hours that is happening at 1 p.m. So just about an hour from now, we will be able to get reviews on your portfolios, get advice and how you can step up. Today we're talking about collaborating with teams, and maybe how you as creatives, if you're working in-house, can work with people that aren't creatives, right? Maybe we're making graphics or a system for accounting to use. We'll talk to you about how to do that, how to step up your game and make something totally awesome. So join us for office hours in just about an hour, and I'll see you again on Monday for our next daily creative challenge. Bye.